overview of changing elements on the items page. So the first off, we have the new look here. There's some changes here. So it's going to look more like this, right? So this image is attached in here. But the other thing is this whole page needs to start with like the barcodes. So it starts just like this. We don't need the line, but they have to have a customer defined before anything else can happen. And once they do, then the rest of the page that we saw like on here is going to go ahead and to show up, right? And so if we go back here, so you'll have to make that change. But let me go back in here. So I'm checking some stuff you'll want to download. I checked some stuff in on these items to kind of test some of these different areas. So I did a quick little grid hookup, so you can see that the grid is loading in there. The grid returns information like this, right? Anywhere you may see item URI sometimes in some of the code. It's referring to an edit URI. So for example, let's just go through each of the different things. So the grid read, you can look that up in there. I had to finagle a couple things to kind of just get it to work in there real quickly, but you're going to see that. So if we get item options, if we click on that, you're going to see the item options. This is going to bring the result for most of these little drop-down elements that we're taking a look at. Let's just go through these real quickly. Okay, so get item options. You can see it asks for an item URI. This is actually the edit URI that comes over on the grid read. So you need that URI in order to get the item options. So when you're to do the edit page, you have to kind of go off of that edit URI. If we come down, item create, this is the item view that you get back on the get item options. And you see it's going to have a lot of these different fields that we're going to map out in the UI. And so you have to post that back, and it requires a customer ID, which I just hard-coded 18. That's an example customer ID. But you should get this off of the initial customer dropdown before everything else loads in order to do that create. Item update is very similar, except item update requires an item URI, which again, this is the edit URI off of here. So if you're coming from the grid, you're going to need this edit URI in order to kind of update any of those elements there. Okay, and items activate, customer ID, activate 1 is true, 0 is deactivate, and the item IDs, you can see that those show up on here. Item delete, similar. Now, item delete, there is a flag called is deletable. So is deletable, if it's true, that means you can delete it. So on the grid, you only want to show the delete button if that is item is deletable is equal to true. A couple other things, the select all button, we kind of want to move over to the left like we do for other things, and put a little reset grid drop down like we do on all those other elements. So as far as the UI and display, remember you're coming here and you're going to have to select customer first. Just do it like the barcodes. And then once you get in here, you're going to have to go ahead and switch over this information over into into that new image that we kind of looked at here. As far as the options, you should have all the options on there now, but for example, if we do options, you'll see these are all the different options in there. If there is a specific area where you have questions, then you should go ahead and just ask me specifically what that is. One note here is for this classification that we're gonna have on here. This needs to always just be A, B, and C, hard-coded just as letters. But other than that, all the other ones should be available in here. But if you have a question, you could just type, you know, cycle count type, you know, question if you're wondering where that mapped to. Some of the stuff you'll want to look at the original mapping file that we sent over. That kind of had all these options where they mapped to. But that should give you a kind of a so here I didn't hook up get item grid selections yet, but these other ones should be kind of hooked up, and there's no APIs for these kind of filtering stuff, but the get item options, item create, item update, items activate, item delete, all those different things you should be able to kind of start looking at and implementing them, as well as the grid read and stuff like that. So that should be it. Any field specifically, just list it by name or by label so we can talk about it specifically in the questions, and we'll review those as we come across them. So that's it.